Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Steven Universe, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hey, y'all.
Justin Cummings.
Hello.
And Alex Bonilla.
Hola.
Today, Delaney, Justin, Alex, and I are continuing our Steven Universe Marathon, November 10th bomb recap, this time getting into episode 3, Gemcation. We already have discussed the first 2 episodes of this bomb, so check out our podcast on episodes 1 and 2, and today we're getting into episode 3. Well, today we're getting into all of them because we're doing all of them on November 10th, the bomb drop. So find all that at overlyanimated.com or search for Overly Animated Steven Universe to subscribe there or YouTube to not miss any of our Steven Universe recaps. These episodes are out on the Cartoon Network app and website if you have not seen them yet. Spoilers for Gemcation and the previous 2 episodes, but not for the rest of the bomb. So make sure that you're caught up, and let's get into Gemcation. This is the one where Greg and the Gems take Steven to the Cool Ranch, and we have individual Steven talks with each of them. Delaney, what are your thoughts on this episode?
This episode I think had a lot of potential, but then it kind of wasted all of it. I don't know. I think there's episode is trying to do a little bit too much, and then also not doing enough. This is just, I don't know, we're on episode 3 of the bomb, and I just feel like we haven't made any ground, we haven't moved any, which is fine. That's kind of the point of this arc, but it's frustrating to watch in that I get it. Connie doesn't want to talk to Steven. Can we do something else for 11 minutes? I did like how modern this episode was, and that, we see the text messages, and Steven hanging out with his dad is always great. Also, we get to see the Gems since we hadn't seen them previously in the bomb. So that's nice. And it was nice to have these little moments of each of the Gems with Steven, even though they're kind of pointless moments and they don't really accomplish anything. Though the Pearl moment was probably the most interesting because it's Pearl, what were you going to say? But yeah, I think overall this episode's, pretty disappointing. There's not a lot going on, though that's obviously the point of the episode, is that nothing's happening. But I did that Steve is on his phone. Yeah, he's on vacation. He doesn't really talk to anybody, so it's pretty funny. Very, very millennial.
Yeah, we related to Steven on vacation on his phone, definitely. Okay, Delaney may be underwhelmed by the potential of the episode. What do you think, Justin?
I sad. This was a good episode, and I sad. It's Steven is just falling apart at the seams, and yeah, he messed up, but you do feel bad for him, and I feel bad for him, and it's relatable and sad. And as much as I like the episode, the one thing that keeps me from really, really loving it, where was Peridot?
Yeah.
Why was Peridot not
They
here?
just left
She
her
lives
in the
bathroom. They
bathroom.
just left her in the bathroom.
Presumably she's still in the bathroom, yeah.
But as someone who still has the theory that Pearl was the one who actually shattered Pink Diamond, this episode, I'm is that what she was gonna say?
Right.
Because I think she might have been. That's kind of my predominant theory, is she was gonna say she shattered Pink Diamond. But also, Greg being Greg, I love Greg as a character. I've always loved Greg as a character, and he really stepped up here. And I think the line of I may not know about gem stuff, but I know this. It was fantastic, and man, it was sad. Sad.
Yeah, the sad Steven arc continues here with Connie. Alex, we were going over before the bomb yesterday, we were going over the titles and descriptions, and you ranked this as your most anticipated episode going into here. So did it live up to this potential?
Not really, but this episode was the definition of a tease. But it was continuing the tone of the more chill episodes as we're coming back from space, which I get, but like Delaney has said, it's not that entertaining at times. It's just can we move on? But there are lots of little moments here. Greg definitely stood out. Garnet is a treasure, and she's just amazing in this episode, and it just reminds you how little they've been using her lately. But all in all, at least to me, I find this better than Dewey Wins, but not as good as Raising the Barn. I think it's in between. It was a fun episode to watch, even if it's not ending up consequential in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with this ranking. I think didn't enjoy it as much as two, but it was better than Dewey Wins. Yeah, this is just so disappointing. This episode, given the preview materials we've seen from this, and it's not this episode's fault, but the way that the crew and Cartoon Network have used scenes from this episode in the promotional materials we've seen is infuriating. Between that Pearl line that doesn't go anywhere and this shot of from Garnet's interrupted talk flashback she wanted to get into, that was like in a trailer or something. It's like, oh wow, these big things are going to be happening. Look, Pearl's like, I want to tell you all the stuff, and we're going to do a flashback sequence with cool animation. Nope, they're just not even relevant to anything we're talking about. And I think even without the promotional material, like just in show, like it just felt kind of it was too teasy. Like, what's the point of putting it in if you're just going to cut it off? Like, it doesn't really work as a joke because you're actually expecting this at this point in the show. Right. Even if you just haven't seen any of the previews, then it's still like we set Garnet up to have this talk, and then we cut it off purposefully, and like we cut off what Pearl was saying. So it's like it's in episode. It was already like teasy, and then is just enhanced by the Cartoon Network stuff. But and also just conceptually, this is the gem episode we've had so far of the bomb, and it doesn't really do anything. So it's just if you're looking for narrative movement and lore, not koala lore, but gem lore from this episode, then I think you're going to be pretty disappointed, and disappointed in the bomb so far. And to a certain extent, that was definitely me with this. There's not really much for me to latch on to here from this episode. I don't even know what the highlight is. To be honest, Ronaldo stands out to me. That was annoying. You were annoyed. You were annoyed by Ronaldo. I know this friend exists because I've been this person before, like just texting people and hoping they respond. But yeah, just that was a recurring gag was the annoying part, that it just kept showing up in the episode. Yeah, no, but it's annoying because it's like, oh, we'll do something, Connie, but no, it's just Ronaldo talking about koala lore and wombats. I love that though, but yeah, I don't, Delaney, I don't know what moment stands out in particular to you from Gemcation?
Well, other than the Pearl tease of Pearl, she's like crying. I don't know. She's like, she can't get it out. It's like, what are you trying to say, Pearl? And then like immediately it gets like ripped out of her hands, and then like Alex said, like Garnet like is like the best character in this episode. Like they clearly rehearsed them trying to recruit Steven, and like she just reads the lines and then like trying to get into the story, and she's like, oh good, you know that. Like I don't know, it was just funny. Like Garnet was hilarious, and I do think Greg's a standout. But yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot to get out of this episode. It's like we haven't gone anywhere. We're back where we were. I think the most frustrating part of this episode is that like no one just bothered to be like, hey Steven, what's wrong? And I understand that Steven's like embarrassed because like I've been there, we've all been there, but it's like, really, like you all were like freaking out about it. It's like, y'all could have just been like, hey, what's wrong? Could have solved this whole like problem.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know why it takes so long to get this talk with Steven. And the episode doesn't really spend any time on his reasoning that he was afraid. He was afraid everyone else would be mad at him, just like Kanye was, because he did screw up. I think that makes sense.
I think that's what it is. Like, I think we're just focusing so much on Connie not talking to Steven that it's kind of lessening that like what Steven did wasn't great. Like, I feel like we need to talk about that more. Like, Steven, you can't just go and sacrifice yourself, bro. Also, this is really unhealthy. You're 14. Like, calm down.
Yeah,
and like,
I think episode 1, it's like we got to the point where Steven was like, oh, I did screw up. And now it's like, yeah, and we've passed that now. Maybe we should have given it two episodes or 3 to...
I think that's what's unsatisfying, is that we're just like waiting for Connie, and it's not that the show almost makes you like, you're like, Connie, just text him back. But like, no, like Steven messed up. Connie hasn't done anything wrong. And that's kind of, I think that's what's frustrating about it, is that the way they're spitting it and how like messed up Steven is about it, that they're kind of like, I don't like how they're framing it.
Yeah. And I think we're just using it as a framing for the set of episodes. And we'll see. I think it's going to depends on how future episodes handle them. But yeah, like you said, Garnet has definitely some good moments in here. I think this episode's right in line with how the show has used Garnet mostly recently, which is not giving her a lot of time to do things, but she does. Right. She's very funny in the time that she has.
She's just hilarious.
Yeah, I think she's like she clearly she rehearsed it with the rest of them and also potentially with herself. Like I think she's like critiquing herself as Sapphire was commenting to Ruby or something during it. Yeah.
No, more emphasis. Yeah. It was really good.
Yeah. So I think that was good. And yeah, she had groceries on her head. And in the hot tub scenes, good there too. But Justin.
Also, I like how Steven like put it in the bag and then still jumped in the jacuzzi like fully clothed.
Yeah, I don't because I guess that's showing how most concerned he is about his phone and getting texts. Right. Yeah. That's me though. So I gotta make sure the phone does. Yeah. Justin, I assume your highlight is the Pearl talk as you mentioned?
Yes, that was the highlight.
What did you get from it?
Clearly, Pearl is guilty about something and wants to tell Steven, but really shouldn't. And it's probably related to Pink Diamond. And Pearl, what is it? Please tell us.
She seemed to like be. I think a lot of people are like she was repressing certain. I mean, she literally had to like restrain herself from continuing to tell Steven things. Is this different than the other gems? Like, do you see Pearl as specifically having more to tell here?
Yeah, it seems like Pearl specifically, and the fact that she didn't want to speak to Steven at all, kind of implied that there was something like she has a guilty conscience about something. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think she like functioned higher in like their society. Like obviously Sapphire is like a big deal, but I think like being what we've seen about pearls and like even though they've said lowly pearl or whatever, but like the pearls we've seen are like right there with the diamonds. So it's like, what does Pearl know? Like what does she have to tell Steven?
Right. So it might make sense that she knows more because she was directly working for a diamond, presumably. It definitely seems like she did not want to talk to Steven after he was on Homeworld because presumably she didn't want to give anything away because she's keeping a secret. Which is, it's something that a lot of people have speculated on, but at the same time, Pearl's, been open with Steven about things in the past and Pearl loves Steven so much. Like, my thought is like, what could this be that Pearl is like specifically hiding from Steven? Like, it must be a big thing if she's being emotionally dishonest with him.
Well, I think it also could be interpreted that she was so scared for him. Because I think that was part of it too, is like the way she said, like she yelled his name, I do think there's a chance that like it's really hard for Pearl to talk about because she was so worried for him. Because Pearl is like if there's an anxiety gem, like that's what Pearl is. And like I think that was like that could be an interpretation, is that like she was just so worried and afraid for Steven.
Yeah, that definitely seemed a lot of that. Alex, what was your read from the scene with Pearl potentially keeping secrets from Steven here?
Mostly the same, because we've seen this before whenever Homeworld is brought up, or we had in Back to the Moon where Pink Diamond being shattered was brought up. She like had to cover her mouth and was like shaking. And in the Zoo arc, when she talked about Homeworld, she was also very hesitant to give any information. So it just seems like an extension of this, but maybe now that we're actually now that Steven has actually made contact with the diamonds, and as Lapis was under the impression that the diamonds may begin to look for him, that's probably like putting her even more on edge. So just all in all, I think it's just an extension of that Pearl has information about the past and doesn't want to give it up, maybe believing that if Steven has this information, it'll result in more, it'll endanger Earth and the gems even more than just Pearl having it. I think it's something along those lines.
Yeah, this has to be information Garnet doesn't have, though, right? Because she seems fine with Garnet talking with Steven.
Right, and Garnet always defaults to Pearl on these Homeworld things. Like, but Pearl knows about that. Talk to her.
Yeah. So my question is like, how big is this? Like, Justin, you think this is potential support for Pearl shattering Pink Diamond?
Yes.
Yeah, why? Just because it's she just her behavior here suspicious goes in line with previous Pearl things like this.
You think that Lion is Pink Diamond? I think Pearl shattered Pink Diamond. I will take whatever I can use.
Okay, yeah. There's not a lot of support, but this is a potential new key piece of evidence for Pearl shattering Pink Diamond. What do you think about that, Delaney?
I mean, I've always liked the theory, though I am more of a Lion as Pink Diamond. Pearl knows something. I mean, I do think it's like, I think it is probably pretty like, forgive the pun, earth-shattering about like what she knows and what she could tell Steven. Like, there's no telling what she knows about Homeworld. Like, she might know a secret that could unravel the entire society. We just don't know. I do think it's probably something big, though I am also leaning kind of towards like, Pearl's also just really emotional and dramatic. So there's honestly no telling. Like, maybe she didn't really have anything important to tell him, and it's just hard for her to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Pearl definitely, out of everybody, had more Homeworld experience than anybody else. Like, she, like, Ruby was a bodyguard, and yeah, Sapphire was, like, a big deal. But I think it's been made pretty clear that Pearl, like, is the one who, like, had the most interaction with Homeworld, and, like, what it was like to live on Homeworld. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm also not, I don't want to expect anything either, because I know how this show is.
Yeah. It
They
is.
don't like to give us things.
I do like the take that it is possible this is just in line with Pearl's personality. I think that's potentially true. I think the problem is that this, like, it's not like how Pearl would react to the situation. It's just how the show is framing it. Like showing this specifically, to us and having this be Pearl's specific reaction and this like be standing out from the episode. I feel like it definitely indicates some sort of secret being kept. Yeah, Alex, support for, is this support for Pearl shattering Pink Diamond?
That she was an aide, definitely, because we still have to keep in mind this whole framing of the murder mystery thing that they've been floating around the advertising of this show, and also we have the trial, which in show is bringing up doubts as to how Pink Diamond was actually shattered. So it could very well be that she maybe knows exactly I'm personally of the belief still that Rose shattered Pink Diamond, but she may have information as to how that it was able to happen. Maybe Rose had to do other things that were immoral or perhaps even worse in the eyes of the Diamonds to get that far. Just the things of that nature where like there's even more behind the shattering of Pink Diamond than just the actual shattering. I could see that being information that Pearl has as Rose's closest confidant.
Yeah, it's in the context of this potentially being the murder mystery season. This is like a type of moment you insert into these types of episodes to build up somewhere. Pearl definitely has some sort of information here. I'm still not on this Pearl shattered Pink Diamond thing. I think it's kind of the obvious conclusion for this arc, and I think we got more going on. But at the same time, we're not addressing it now. So it could change later in the bomb. It could change soon after the bomb. But if we don't have that much time left in the season to address the murder mystery, then doesn't the solution have to be kind of simple? I feel like that's kind of in play. The more the Pearl clues are definitely building up here, and that this was a big moment from the episode.
And can I throw an out there theory here?
Oh, absolutely.
With Pearl, I've been seeing some people notice that like Pearl had to like literally force her hand off of her face when she's like trying to restrain herself. So some people are thinking that this is like some kind of mini corruption type thing, where because in the past we've theorized about White Diamond, like where is she, what does she do, and all. And some people have connected White Diamond to like changing of the mind with corruption, especially considering Monster Reunion. You had that big white light representing corruption and all. So because there's also the theory that Pearl is White Diamonds, not Pink Diamonds. So some people are thinking that there's some kind of connection there with White Diamond that's actually physically affecting her ability to give information.
Yeah,
it's a stretch, and I personally don't believe it. But like, if you want to introduce White Diamond at some point, like her being related to Pearl, like that's a way to do it.
Right. And
well, if you were to program any gym, you would program a Pearl.
Yeah.
Right. And like you could like have what's the word? Well, not teach them, but I guess program is the best word. But program them to not give information, or like if there's a word, a situation that they're not allowed to say, it just like shuts them off or something of that nature.
Right. Yes. Pearl's been conditioned to not do certain things. Yeah. By White Diamond, could be in line with Pearl being White Diamond's Pearl instead of Pink Diamond's Pearl. Still unclear on the situation. Any White Diamond stuff's really out there right now just because we have no context for the character. But
Yeah.
That not my read on the situation, the scene. That I feel like it was just Pearl's just a dramatic person, so she's like physically restraining herself. I don't know if it was like an actual physical thing that was happening, but I guess that's in play. Yeah. So I feel like that's like the majority lore discussion to take from this episode. I don't know how much there is, but we should get into the Steven and Connie from the episode. Mostly just Steven texting Connie and Connie not responding. But he didn't have service, and I guess his text went through before he left for vacation, and then they weren't going through while he was there. I don't know if he was texting or still while he was there. But yeah, still nothing from her. So this Stephen Connie drama continues. Connie still seems to be upset. Justin, what do you think of where they currently stand?
See, I don't know, because I don't know what Connie's thinking, and I hate to say it because I want this to be, a realistic plot arc where it's like Connie just needs time. But on the other hand, is Connie kidnapped? Like, I don't think they're gonna go that route, but we don't know she hasn't is the thing, because we know nothing. We haven't seen Connie. We know literally nothing. For all we know, she has Lion. Perhaps she has gone to fight Homeworld herself or go see Lars. We don't know. As far as we know, she still has Lion. So, I mean, I want to believe that it's just straight up being realistic and she doesn't want to talk to him, but we have no information to go on. Yeah,
it'd be helpful to see Connie's side of this. But yeah, what do you think of Delaney seeing this from Steven's side and the emotions that Steven's having here?
Well, I mean, now that we're on episode 3 of this, I think it's a bit fruitless. Like I feel bad for Steven. Like, we've all been there. It's just like we're just at this point that like it's just not interesting to watch. Like, I feel bad for him. It sucks, but it's also like he can't really do much about it, and he just kind of got to wait. I do agree with. I did have a moment like Justin. Like, I was like when like before Greg was like, "Oh, you just don't have service." I thought he was gonna be like, "Connie's on vacation too," like something ridiculous. Like, she's just not there. Which I also don't want that to be the case. Like, Connie needs to be sitting there, like, glaring at her phone. And I don't know, like, I feel bad for Steven. It's just, I don't really care. Like, I feel for him, but I'm also, like, watching it is not very interesting. And, like, I've been there. Like, I know how it works, but it's also, like, he's, like, we just need to do something else, and Steven can't really do anything about it. And it sucks. He's 14, and Connie's mad at him.
Yeah.
But you can't really do anything about it.
Alex?
Yeah, I'll just say, like, the climax of this episode was really weird because it is like, oh, well, maybe if there's service, you can see if she has. And so they're like racing in their van to the cliff, and it's like it's giving this whole action sequence type of feeling. And then it's just, no messages, oh well, and just looking up at the sky. But like the way the climax happened is like, oh, okay, is something gonna happen here? Like, why did the episode just like pick up steam all of a sudden?
Well, it's like I just feel like I appreciate the time that we're giving this, because like Steven needs to suffer a little bit. But I also just feel like the time could be used better. Like, I think that's like I'm just tired of Steven just staring at his phone. Like, I think someone needs to have a talk with him about it, because Steven doesn't get it. He's just upset, which is fine. Like, he can be upset. He's allowed to be. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if we're using our time wisely. Like, by the time they get, they're all made up. If that happens, is Connie going to have to be the one to tell him that, like, why he's being dumb and, like, why she, and, like, this has been leading up to this? Or, like, because someone needs to have a talk with Steven. Like, he tried to sacrifice himself, and, like, no one's talked about that. Right.
Yeah. I guess Steven knows at this point that was bad after the first episode, but it wasn't, not.
But he doesn't feel like it was. I think that's the problem, is that, like, Steven, like, Steven, like, it was, like, he wasn't expecting to come back. Like, I think that's something they all need to talk about. Like, Steven was willing to give himself up to the diamonds. Presumably, they were going to kill him. Like, we don't know what was going to happen. And they need, like, somebody needs to talk to him. He's 14, and he was just going to do that.
Yeah, I think it's surprising there hasn't been more of a talk between the Gems and Steven. We get the individual ones here, but they're not even about the experiences. None of them, like, Or trying to dive
He's
into
just
it with
sad
him.
about Connie. It's like, oh, Connie's just not talking to me, and I messed up our relationship. Like that's not the lead here. like it sucks, but the thing is, like, we need to like kind of get all these pieces together to why Connie's upset with him.
In this episode, Steven's like, oh yeah, Homer, that stuff was really, that was really messed up, but that's not why, that's
like,
not why
I don't know, like, what's irritating is, like, right now I'm irritated because Steven's not being the cool Steven we love, or he's, like, really great. Like, he messed up, which is fine, he's allowed to be, it's nice to have a character with flaws, but he needs to learn from this. And that's what's frustrating, I think, right now, is there's very obvious, like, people need to talk to him, but then right now it's kind of like, oh, I'm just sad. And we're all going to feel sad for Steven. No, like, Steven, we need to do something about it. And I think that's what's frustrating, is that we're kind of, like, missing the point. And it's like, I don't know if we're going to get to that point.
And I do want to say it's a stark contrast from how we saw him in Dewey Wins, because there he was putting the focus, oh, well, Homer was important, I had to save everybody, it didn't matter what feelings everybody had. But now here it's like, oh, my personal feelings are like very important right now. I need to fix this specific relationship without caring at all about what's going on like in the bigger picture. So he's just, I guess it's because of the emotional status, but like his character right now is just very fluctuating from episode to episode, and so it's kind of jarring in that way.
Yeah. I think it's fine as a framing device. I don't think it's been incredibly presented so far, and I definitely agree that we could be spending time on the better things. That's kind of a recurring thing with this show. Is this episode really the best we can do right now? But yeah, I don't know. Justin, what are you hoping to see from the next few episodes from this?
I just don't want to cry, Dylan.
Just happiness, make up. I just want something plot related, like space, science fiction, anything new, anything besides me crying. Yeah, that's all I want. Okay,
I'm not picky.
I hope so. Well, next episode is back to the kindergarten, so maybe.
I mean, this episode ended kind of happy, right? Because he, like, in the end, he's like, well, I have my family. Like, that's important. I shouldn't be ignoring that, you know? It's a nice moral to come out with,
sure,
I guess.
That's important, any comments on Amethyst in this episode? I don't think we talked about her much. Her talk with Steven was pretty short.
It didn't really accomplish anything, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's so forgettable. But the funny part to me here is like Amethyst versus Garnet. Like the way Garnet was originally was more of the serious talk, but now she's become the one-liners person. And Amethyst used to be all jokes all the time, but now she's the one with the more emotional connection to Steven. It's like just that contrast stood out to me a little in this episode, but like the actual content of the conversation, I don't remember anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Amethyst definitely used to be the comic relief character, and that's basically Garnet at this point. And yeah, Amethyst had a serious conversation with Steven, so I don't know. I mean, it was a good moment, but yeah, I think that's interesting. In general, I think the gems have been pretty underutilized recently on the show. I think that's pretty clear in this episode that they don't really do anything. The only other things I got from this, Greg still has $9 million left. Notable. Well, we'll see what we do with that. And yeah, I think that's it. Other comments from anything in this episode?
Nope.
Restrictions on the vacation house, that was a joke.
Yeah. Oh, and Pearl, yeah, there are like no shoes, and that Pearl like chucked the shoes that were out there and then like stepped in with her own GM. Sure. Yeah. Delaney, do you agree with Alex and I that this is better than 1, worse than 2?
I'm not sure. Like, I feel like Dewey Wins had like a few more comedic beats in it. I don't know. It's hard. I'd have to rewatch, honestly, to decide. I definitely agree that obviously 2 is the best so far.
Yeah.
But I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of... everything's kind of falling flat for me right now.
Ooh, yeah. I definitely don't think it's significantly better than 1. Justin?
Yes, I like this one more, even though it broke me.
Even though it broke you. Yeah. Oh, the other, I had one quoted line here, which is Steven's cutting off Garnet, telling the flashback. Pink Diamond was bad. Everything bad had to happen, so good things could kind of happen. That's Steven's summary of yeah. Come on, Steven, just listen to the flashback. Like let's hear it. I'd rather do that. But no. So yeah, that's all for Gemcation. we at least we got the gems. I think that was nice. And next episode, back to the kindergarten. We'll have a podcast just on that one, and we will see what happens when we continue all this potential Steve and Connie drama. And I don't know what else we're going to talk about. So we'll be back for that. Check us out at overlyanimated.com and subscribe to us iTunes or YouTube to not miss any of our Steven Universe podcasts. Before last thing before I wrap up, any final comments?
Are we going too overboard on using gem in titles? Like, I feel like this was a stretch.
Okay, now I want to go back and count how many times gem has been in that title.
We have gem harvest, gem drill, gem hunt.
I was gonna say gem hunt, yeah.
Yeah, gem hunt's probably worse, maybe. But...
Yeah, it's not that many.
Just Gemcation doesn't roll off the tongue. Like,
what is this show? Rick and Morty now? Like, we're just gonna do puns every title? Yeah. Okay, that's the least of our concerns. But let us know.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I got. Let us know your thoughts on this episode. You can text chat with us at Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord, and you can support us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Jamie, aka Mailman, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy.
Just one final thing. I think this is Lauren Zook's last episode.
Yeah, I thought that the last one was Zook's last episode, but
yeah, but she appears here, so I think this is her goodbye.
Yeah, Zook is credited in this episode, definitely. Like this last episode was Amber Craig and Hillary Florido. Amber Craig, new storyboard artist, I think, on that episode.
Yes,
yeah.
I checked. That was Amber Craig's first episode, and Amber Craig's next episode is also in this bomb. So
yeah, very cool stuff. Yep.
Ooh.
And this and Gemcation, Madeline Corporal, who came on during the Wanted arc, I believe. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll be back to cover Back to the Kindergarten, and check that out, overlyanimated.com, and we will see you guys then. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.